Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, thank you for joining us for another episode of All the Angles, the Business of Padel podcast worldwide, powered by the Hexagon Cup. This week our focus is on the Padel Travel and Padel tourism industry. I'm joined this episode by a number of high-profile and groundbreaking individuals who understand this space incredibly well. First of all, we have Guillermo Del Grosso, who is the Operations and Events Director at Nueva Alcantara Club in Malaga. He has been involved in sports and racket sports facilities in Spain since 2004. We also have Alessandro Di Stefano from Padel Travel. He's the founder and CEO of Padel Travel since 2018 and is also a consultant for the development and launch of new clubs around the world. Thirdly, we have Fabio Zecchini. He is a startup advisor. He was the co-founder and CTO and CPO at Amusement since 2012. And is currently the Chief Customer Growth Officer at lastminute.com, as well as, of course, the founder since last year of Weebora, who are also the official travel partner of both the FIP and Premier Padel. Finally, we have Tom Bergqvist, who launched the padel resort Padel Solta near Split in Croatia around 2022. He's been a recruitment specialist in Scandinavia, owning Move Up since 2001. So thank you all for joining us for this episode. Before we get started, if you enjoy this episode or have benefited from previous ones, please share, subscribe. It really does help. So without further ado, let's get started. So I think my first question is really differentiating different types of padel holidays. And the way I see it are that there are two broad categories. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong. The first one is what I would call the hardcore break, which is where participants, they want to play a lot. They ideally want to be coached by the best coaches or academies. So my example here would be someone attending a week-long course at M3 Academy in an all-inclusive kind of I want to level up trip. That's kind of what I call the hardcore holiday. The second is the lifestyle break, which is where the participants maybe want a beautiful hotel or resort or villa, but they also want to play padel daily. And maybe even they want to be coached as well to have that baked into the experience. They want swimming pools, beaches, maybe even a chef. They want to put their feet up, but part of the relaxation for them is easy or even competitive 2 or so hours of paddle. So my question to this group, is that a fair way to simplify the paddle tourists, or are there other types and species that I've missed?
Well, I think if we are talking about active players, I think your split works. Basically, we can divide the two main categories between those who travel for paddle with everything else as a bonus, and those who travel for tourism, basically, but just want to add they love paddle and they want to add some sporting activity during their journey that start with other purpose. My easy and fun way to just split the two categories is ask if they bring their own racket. Usually the ones who go for an intensive course, they never just let their weapon at home. So the ones who just rent one on site probably are the lifestyle breakers.
Okay. Anyone want to add to that? Fabio, I saw you nodding.
Maybe, yeah, I can add. I completely agree with Alessandro. In reality, what I think, there is also another angle that is a player or not related to the tournament and events, because what we see right now is a lot of people that are traveling because of one event, and they want to combine also the playing part during entertainment event. It is unique, especially for this sport, because if I'm going to see a soccer match or a football match, maybe I don't want to play soccer in the morning. If I go to see a Premier Padel in Paris, then the day after I'm starving for playing on the court because I see the champions, I want to do the same. And on top of that, I think more and more this is becoming one of the reasons of traveling, because it's one of my passion. It's not just a sport. So I'm going to Paris, not just for visiting Louvre and the Eiffel Tower, but I wait maybe for the Roland Garros major, the Paris major. I want to be there during the tournament. And then I go into also the other touristic attraction and experiences. So this is another angle that is becoming more and more important. Plus, we have the corporate event that is another angle, but I'm sure that Tom know better than me about the corporate event.
Okay, let's start with the first two, and we'll come back to the tournament a little bit later. So, let's start off with these hardcore, I'm bringing my own weapon, as Alessandro put it, holiday makers. And I think, Guillermo, you'll probably be able to speak a little bit to that, considering the NAC club in Malaga is quite renowned for its facilities, multiple courts, and of course, incredible coaching facilities and resources. When you're looking at the hardcore break, as I call it, what in your experience are the fundamental components of that break? But also, what are the extras that can really make the difference when people book those types of tricks? What's essential and what's bonus?
Okay, in both cases, it's usually double day activities. Depending on the level of the player, the best training is not only learning exercises, but also game situations and matches, especially with local players. They help the foreign players to compete with players of high level and not their usual friendly matches. But the destination for us is very important. And if it is accompanied by good weather and the beach, in this case, we are 300 meters of the beach, so much is better. In our case, what is the more important is experience. From the moment of arrival, the special treatment of the concierge services and the reception, the development of the teaching program, the gastronomic experience, or the cheap or relaxation option available to each player. For this reason, not only one reason, is a total experience at the moment to start the course until that you finish our experience. No?
And just building on that, maybe Alessandro or Fabio, you could talk a bit. So, do you get people who say that for me the essential is the coaching? I want the coach to be fantastic. I don't care whether the club has got a sauna or a jacuzzi. I want it to be basic and simple because I'm so focused on what happens on the court. Everything else is just distraction. But also you have other people who are like, I absolutely expect the sauna, the whirlpool, the steam room, the massage therapist. Do you see that full range of expectation when you offer things to your clients?
I think that a key point for the hardcore breaker is meeting expectation. The main point is understand who is in front of you, because it's a very different customer in comparison with the yearly academy student. Okay, so this is a very key point. And usually, who want to do just a hardcore week usually is looking for high-level coaching. All the other, I would say that facilities, video analysis, training session are extra elements that help this customer feels like a pro. They usually wanna do an intensive course, and it's a bit funny because usually, if we think about other sports, maybe tennis, just not to go further, who is looking for high performance training or intensive week is usually people in good fit and young. That paddle has this special feeling that doesn't matter regardless their age and level, even people in their 40, 50 has this feeling that they can get better and better. So even just people with a competitive mindset can join an intensive week.
Fabio, you have the same experience. You have people who say, I don't want all the bells and whistles. I want a very Spartan package.
Yeah, no, I think there are also on hardcore player, there are some differentiation because, for example, sometimes it really start at the beginning, also deciding the destination and maybe sometimes also the academy and the coaches. So we have customers that they want to train with Gustavo Prat, so they want to be in Valladolid or in other academies trained by their coaches because they want to have this train like a pro experience. And they don't care anything about flight, hotel, accommodation, tourist experiences, etc. But, and because sometimes these are semi-professional players, but there are also some standard players that are starting the beginning of the training course in Padel, for example, I can tell you this story. We were in Miami during the Premier Padel, and we were playing in one court with these women. They were complaining because they were saying to us, we are going to go in Sardinia, in the south of Sardinia, playing this summer, but they were complaining because the program was just in the morning, 4 hours. So what I'm going to do for the other rest of the day in Sardinia? So they don't want to go to the beach. They just want to play, and they were super amateur, just a couple of years playing. I wouldn't call these core players, but still for them was super important playing 8 hours per day. So, for example, in NAC is super nice. The fact that they are organizing you the training course in the morning and in the afternoon tournament across all the different customers. I think every customer nowadays is super different, and we need to try to find a balance between and to match their expectation. That is not easy because everyone is different.
And what locations or geographies do really well for these kinds of holidays? Are they all Spain or nothing? Or are they, I want Malaga or Barcelona, Madrid or Valladolid? I'm not interested in anything else because those are the places I've heard of. That's where the best people are. That's where the guys who are sitting on the benches in the matches, that's where their academies are advertised. I'm not going to accept anything else. Or actually, is it quite a broad geographical spread?
Yeah, of course, for this kind of customer, there is a big preference for Spain and Argentina, of course. But more than this, the destination, I think these are, as I was saying at the beginning, interested into the coaches program and academies. So that's why, for example, one of the angle we are working is taking coaches from one important academy, bringing to a different destination, like a resort or some nice building where they can train and have some facilities. So this is important also for the academies because we know that, for example, maybe in a certain period of the years, August is difficult to play paddle in Madrid outdoor, for example. No, so maybe it's better to bring these coaches or the academy entirely in a different destination that is more feasible for the standard player, let's say. My point is still a lot of demand for Spain, Argentina as well, but also for this, if you are able to propose something different, they open to join if there is the quality of the coaches and the methodology super high.
I talk about the destination because obviously we are a club, and not club is only one. But in our experience, the best package is basically in 10 or 12 hours, double season shift, and then morning training or afternoon matches. But in our case, Marbella is a big brand, important brand, and all Scandinavian countries and foreign people like UK or Germany take Spain way of life or sunny days, and it's all combined practice, learning, matches, and all experience. For this reason, we talk about only Marbella. But I think it's the market is growing. The climate is very important because the sunny days is a good idea.
And Guillermo, with your offers at NAC, so as you said, NAC is just one club, but do you have different tiers and types of packages available for people who want to come to NAC? So some people who will say, I want the best coach, but I don't care about the hotel, I don't care about the food quality. Whereas other people will say, I want the NAC experience, but I want premium food, premium hotel. So is there a range of different products that even one location offers?
Yes, maybe in some case we offer a package, complete package with accommodancy and sports. But in our experience, we have 18 official academy coaches. And for us, it's more important the experience and the level of the people to best learn as possible. But I think our experience is a prime experience. But we have many people that want to stay 2 or 3 days and luxury hotels, or depends of the quote about another groups to stay in apartments near here.
Yeah.
And then for this reason, the more important for us is the level of the people and do best courses. And then the facilities is important, but when you combine all the level, the practice, the matches, and the facilities, and combine with the Marbella brand, is a good option.
Regarding the destination, I think that what we have seen, we offer, for instance, this Croatia as a very new destination for paddle. People probably don't even know that there are paddle courts in Croatia already, but we see slightly that many people, they are so used to going to Spain, and especially the hardcore players, they've been in Spain many times. They go every year probably with a group of friends. So, and there haven't been many options since all the coaches, they prefer being in Spain, and they have been able to be in Spain because everyone comes there. But I see also when I speak to different academies and paddle coaches, you and I have talked, Alessandro as well, coaches also, they want to come outside of Spain to gain new experiences, to meet new people. And so I think it will come actually many more potential destinations. Fabio, you will see as well probably in your platform.
Yeah, definitely.
The problem has been the coaches. We cannot easily find coaches here, so we must bring them from Spain or Argentina or someone already living in Europe, other parts of Europe, of course.
And Tom, I was going to come to you anyway to start talking about these lifestyle break people. So we've talked a little bit about the hardcore. I want to talk a little bit about the lifestyle. So can you talk a little bit about what are the fundamental requirements of the lifestyle break customer and what are the extras that are less important? Because I'm trying to understand the difference between the two.
You can use your introduction and saying also for this leisure travelers, there are hardcore leisure travelers, as you also said there, and there are those who, okay, it's nice to have a paddle court. We can play an hour of paddle at night if we want. So I think most of them, when they choose a destination where you can actually play a lot of paddle, they usually want to play quite a lot, what we have seen. So many hours of the day, but maybe they are not so dependent on a specifically high-profile coach. So it can be like, maybe not me, but my son, a decent coach, quite well educated as a coach, but not as in your place, Guillermo and Alessandro, what you offer, of course. So some coaching and many hours a day. And then we have the other one who is not the hardcore leisure travelers. They just want maybe no coaching. They can play for fun with their family and or friends a few hours a day.
And what do people expect in terms of the facilities? For somewhere like Padel Solta, do they want a chef? Do they want people bringing food in? Do they want a beach nearby? What is it that Padel Solta provides that it really makes the experience unforgettable?
We thought it was the combination of many different things that you could actually do. Paddle was the core, but from that you can do other excursions, etc. In our case, it's an island, so you can go around it. But what we have seen, actually, that's what I'm saying. There are many kind of hardcore leisure tourists because they don't even want to leave the resort. So they want to be here. And we were expecting they wanted to go out and see the villages to have dinners at night. But they were so tired after playing paddle many hours. Where is the food? We're going to the restaurant. No, we don't want to go. We want to stay here. And after we will play paddle again. So for us, it has become very much about paddle. But that's also because we have the courts on the property. We have the pool. We have the courts. But in your case, maybe in Spain, you have other options because they don't live where they play all the time. So they must leave for their hotel and maybe they go to the city for a dinner or so. So I think it depends.
And do you, just a side question, Tom, do you see people coming to Padel Solta bringing their own coach?
Yeah,
wanting to bring their own coach?
we have many groups. They bring a coach of their own. Yeah. So from different countries, and we have many guests from the UK, for instance. They don't bring coaches themselves, not yet. It will come. I know it's growing so fast in the UK, but we have from Belgium, from Austria, from Denmark, and the Nordic countries. They bring a coach as well, and maybe they want an assistant coach. We can provide them with an assistant coach.
Talking about Padel Solta, but could be also NAC. What I really see different since when I started back in 2018 is the level of customer care around the paddle experience. When we started, we actually was one of the reasons why we joined this market was a lack of quality service around, let's say, around the court. And right now there are a lot of professional off court, such as Guillermo, Fabio, Tom, that really provide a high quality customer care. That means his ability to adapt to preference and customer and needs of any customer. And I think, especially for the lifestyle breaker, it's something that really matters.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. If I can add something in terms of facility that this kind of customer are asking, for example, is super important, the dressing room. They want to know exactly in which club they are going to play, how is the dressing room, how is the restaurant at the club. Maybe they are staying in the hotel, they choose a five-star hotel, but also because maybe they are spending some hours there, they want to have also lunch, they are asking us what is the level of the restaurant, or maybe can switch the club with the same coaches just for the restaurant. Okay, this is super interesting, and we saw the different type of customer also because they are asking for different class of businesses in the flight, for example, for the hotel, the position of the hotel. Maybe for the hardcore players, they want to be super close to the club. In reality, the leisure, they want to be close to the touristic location. Like I want to be in the center of Malaga with my hotel because after I played a couple of hours of paddle in the morning, I want to spend all the rest of my time with other people that are traveling with me, with my girlfriend, wife, or friends, maybe having more touristic attraction or experiences, or maybe going have an hotel close to the beach because the rest of the time I want to spend by the sea, etc., etc. In terms of also customer requests is super different. That's why what Alessandro was saying is important. We need to be flexible and adapt our offering based on the customer needs because everyone has different objectives.
In all case, the most important thing is to accept the client expectation. The more important is try to get the best experience to training the drills, the times, the levels, and then probably the another things about the paddle experience maybe it's better or better depend of the restaurant experience or the places. I don't know. But I think everyone wants the best experience to the people, no?
And Fabio, I want to come back to you on these tournament visitors that you raised at the beginning, the third category. So obviously you've got partnerships in place with most rights holders. I guess tickets to the event are pretty fundamental. But what else do these holiday makers expect to be provided around that core proposition?
Yeah, I think we are not reinventing the wheel, so we are taking what is already working in other sport. No, if you think especially NBA, NFL, America sport, the event is not just a sport, but it's an entertainment moment. For example, as I was saying at the beginning, we are trying to combine moment while you play at the moment where you are in the tournament event, maybe seeing the matches packages is super important. We are trying to combine also meet and greet with players or with the top coaches. Now, for example, last week in Doha, we were creating this weekend experience with Pablo Herreros, where you can book playing in the morning, paddling Doha with Pablo Herreros and the paddling coaches, and then in the afternoon you were seeing the matches at the first major. And then maybe there are also in that moment an element of touristic experiences. We bring you to the desert and have in the morning, early in the morning, a desert experience before the tournament. I think there is a touristic element that we always try to combine to give a sense, because as I was saying, more and more this is becoming an excuse for exploring the destination. Okay. Then a moment of playing, so you want to playing paddle, not many hours, maybe is a lesson, a clinic with Gustavo Prato coaches, etc., or other coaches, local coaches that could provide this kind of clinic. And then the third element is within the event, an entertainment moment that could be the hospitality, meet and greet with the players, with the managers, having a seat in the player box, for example. So it's something unique that you cannot buy on the standard ticketing platform. So the idea is to create an experience around the event that could fit different expectations, like we were saying, also for the leisure travel. Because also for the Premier Padel and FIP is really important to start having this kind of people from abroad traveling for seeing the match, not just for the local destination, because otherwise also the number of destinations where you can organize this event is really limited. Instead, if you're able to start moving people, then we have a variety range of destination and venue that we can choose for this kind of tournament event.
I'd like to now zoom out a little bit about the industry at large. Alessandro, you touched on this already about how the space is maturing since you started in 2018. Are we still in the early days of the padel travel tourism movement, or are we actually now more in phase 2 and phase 3? And how has the space evolved? What are you seeing? How have the expectations evolved?
Actually, a lot of things happened since 2018, to be honest. I don't know how many times we have. Now, first of all, a huge growth, of course. I perfectly remember my first World Padel Tour back in 2018. And actually, I was coming from be part of the organization of the Expo 2015 in Milan, Olympic Games, and that one was a very poor local event. So everything has changed. Now there is a big entertainment around the main tournament. So this is something amazing. When I started, I just felt this interesting around paddle, but there was no services. There was no anyone building a kind of bridge between paddle, high-level paddle experience, and international players. To be honest, Spain specifically was totally stuck. Okay, they don't look at the international market as an opportunity. I think COVID was the turning point. COVID changed everything, so it has also a positive aspect, because of course paddle start growing everywhere, and also people start traveling for their passion. So in this case, for paddle. And talking about paddle travel sector, the main difference is that at the beginning was something very amateur. Someone contacting a club, I don't know, some guys working at travel agencies trying to just collecting people and doing some very amateur experience. While right now there are many professionals that are really elevating the level of the experience. And also, it's important because talking about international market, usually people book 2-3 months in advance and 2,000-3,000 kilometers away from where the experience will take place. That means that they need trust, credibility. This is I think our key aspect. And talk about where we are, I don't think it's a mature market. Why? First of all, probably Fabio has some more data, but most of the paddle travelers are based in Europe. So just one continent. And talking about one continent, probably the three biggest countries, UK, Germany, and France, are in a very early stage. And another key point from my experience is that even the mature market, for instance, still our first market is Italy, where maybe some other paddle product supplier, such as, I don't know, court manufacturer, are suffering or can consider the market mature. Italian Padel Traveler still traveling a lot. So I think there is these two positive aspects. In the mature market, people still keep being super happy to travel for paddle, and a lot of the new emerging countries. So in Europe, of course, there is a big attention to US, Asia, that are, of course, countries that their sides can really change the game. I think we are still in an early stage. There is still a huge room to grow.
Fabio, would you agree with that?
Definitely, yeah, I agree. Also, from my point of view, we just started, but also from my point of view, we are still at the beginning of this journey. Of course, Alessandro started this journey a lot
I'm
of
older.
time ago, and he has a lot of knowledge on how this evolved in the last 5, 7 years. But still, I think we are just at the beginning because I totally agree. This is connected with the emerging market. So the reason for travel for paddle is because I want to train with the best coaches. We talked about this at the very beginning, and now the best coaches are located in Spain and Argentina, and now they are start moving. As Thomas was saying, let's bring Spanish coaches to Croatia, of course, because it's an amazing destination. I want to play there. So if there is a good quality. But in terms of customer origin, I think is starting right now because UK, France, Germany, but also Italy is starting just in the last couple of years. And then there is the all the Nordics market that is already following touristic corridor. Nordics coming to South Spain for holidays is something happening for the last 30 years. So they are just bringing a new element, a new reason for traveling there, not just for the good weather, is because my passion, because of my sport, paddle. And everything will change when the emerging market or emerging continent will come into the game. As I was saying, I saw how fast is going paddle in US in the last 12 months. I was not expecting that. I think we need to expect an acceleration. So not having 30,000 court in 2030, but probably before. So definitely this is something happening probably earlier. And also we are receiving requests from Africa. South Africa is emerging, Asia as well, Russia. I was talking with a lot of people selling clothes and equipment that now also Russia market is starting. Saudi Arabia, etc., is already there. So I think we're going to see a big boost in the next couple of years, not decades.
Maybe it's a bit aside of the paddle tourism, but I think it's not because we see also many paddle clubs and paddle centers. They want to create traveling for their frequent players because
Definitely.
at least in the Nordics, we feel that they sometimes lack the feeling of being part of a club. We have a big problem. People play a lot of paddle, but they're not members in a club. So the paddle centers, they want to create a feeling of a community. They offer traveling every year to Spain or to different destinations. So I think that will be an add-on as well to growing the paddle traveling very much the coming years.
Alex, can I add something about what Tom just mentioned? Because I think this is another key point, because in general, the local paddle player is not so loyal, no, in comparison with other sports, like maybe tennis player play all life long in the same tennis club, no?
Yeah.
While especially in the emerging market where there is high demand and low supply, usually people play where there is a court available. Opportunity like traveling together really help to make your customer more loyal. This is something to get closer and not just a 90 minutes experience and then go back home. This is something very important. And another aspect, especially when we talk about hardcore or traveling to Spain, is that that travel is aspirational. That means that people go back and the ones who play 2 times start playing 3 times. The ones who don't want 2 classes realize that with some classes they can get their padel to the next level. So it has many different positive aspects, padel travel.
And Guillermo, I wanted to ask you, over the recent years, last 5-10 years, have you really seen a change in the proportion of revenue that comes to a club like NAC from paddle tourists and paddle travelers? I'm sure it used to be the story that in NAC most of your money would come from locals, people who were from Malaga, who were members, who would play there. Are you seeing that through just the numbers and the number of people on court that actually the paddle tourist sector is becoming bigger and bigger for your business?
Yes, the sector has grown in the last 3 years, and in our case with Scandinavia and Nordic market, but in another seasons, maybe Middle East people in July and August. And I work in the sector, the paddle tourism and hotel industry for many years, and I have management of luxury resort also. I have experience with agencies, and I think it's only the beginning because now the agency is grown, and there are many countries that has grown, and I think the Poland, for example, or Germany or UK are the next Scandinavian people. For this reason, I think the next years will be more important for agencies to do good work to new markets.
And we're running a little bit low on time. I just wanted to, what's this group's advice for agencies or destinations? What are the mistakes that they're still making in terms of their offering, maybe even their marketing and communication? Like, what's your advice for if you want to be a destination that is considered credible and relevant for this market? What are the do's and don'ts?
In our case, it's more important that they have a big structure, because when the people come to the club, we have a concierge service to receive the people, and then we have a structure, a sport director, technical director, and for us, it's more important to tactical director, technical director, organize all drills, and one coordinator at 4 courts, for example, to coordinate and see all the work or the drills of the level and work together with 3 or 4 coaches. But the big mistake, I think, is improvisation. But for us, I know it's no every club maybe has some structure, but the more important for us is the structure, but one director to coordinate the times, the works of the coaches, and technical director to organize exactly the drills and 2 or 3 sessions, 1 per day or 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. And then in the club to always has 1 people to coordinate all the necessity of the people. And then it's important to grow and continue growing, improve experience, customer experience. And for this reason, for us, it's more important to have not improvisation, organize all the trip, all the moment.
Okay. Anyone else? Any advice? Any do's and don'ts?
Yeah, if we go to the more leisure players, travelers, I think what we have heard a lot already is that do we have free access to the courts? Because if you're a leisure traveler, and even if you have coaching in the morning, maybe you want to play spontaneously after lunch or late at night. Can we light up the court? So I think if we can open up for some, it's not so easy when you go to maybe to an academy. You have to book the coach for certain hours. They are very busy. But can you maybe arrange a few courts for the group to have free access where they can play spontaneously whenever they want? We see it all the time. Sometimes they cannot even finish the dinner. Now we're going to play again. We have a rematch to do, and it's amazing. And even early in the morning, when we come up early in the morning, we see people on the courts. And this is not so common to find already. So I think we will see more.
A degree of adaptability.
Yes.
Any other do's and don'ts, Alessandro and Fabio, from your overview?
Talking about agency, we consider us as a padel company. So if I think about some, for instance, travel agency, just selling the packages, probably some common mistakes that I see is, first of all, I would do a deep research of the right partner, okay? Because there is no still long established relationship. So just some, usually a travel agency, maybe local travel agency, just pick some club or local partners, but they don't have a big relationship, previous relationship with these guys. So that could be a little bit risky. And the other point is focusing just on price. Okay. So I think there is room for everything, for luxury padel experiences, for standard, for cheap, and so on. So I think the travel agency, as a reseller in this case, I think should just widen their offering and not focusing on just lower the price because they are afraid of not being competitive. It depends on what you sell.
It depends. Now there are many agencies. We have 60 or 70 agencies that we work, and there are new agencies to know not only price, try to do the best experience, but I think the new agencies in new places, there are a future for me. Yeah?
I totally agree. And what I want to put on the table is the angle of transparency, because of course, if we talk about Marbella, we have a padel travel experience or 1 day padel experience could cost 50 euros till 500, no? And of course, there is space for everyone, as Alessandro was saying. What is important is really be transparent and show exactly what's included, what's not included, why this has this kind of price, what is the quality, the level of the coaches, facilities, etc., etc. And what I see from our point of view, because of course, being a marketplace, we are talking with a lot of different operators and players and destination. Usually we discover there is no idea on the packages that they want to sell. No pricing, not what's included. Right now, we are the ones saying, hey, provide me a price for this kind of packages because I know that is what the customer is looking for. 1 day, 3 days package, 5 days packages, and then all there are the optional element. 4 hours of coaches, 8 hours, 5 hours, etc., etc. So I think the problem I see is there is no one at the moment really taking care of that because they are receiving requests every time I do something from scratch, I do a different pricing, etc., etc. Instead, we need to work in a professional way. We need to create packages that make sense for the customer. There is a reason to choose that packages or instead of another one, and then the price is no more a decision component. Is more on the experience I want to do. If everything feel my expectation, my needs, then the price is not always a problem. So my suggestion is really to work on the product composition and pricing using transparency.
And my last question is, what's the future hold for this space? Some ideas that came to my mind, and I'm no genius, is paddle cruises and content creator marketing to try and really allow people to see and experience what this holiday will look like with someone that you trust and like. We all know that influencers are incredibly important part of the marketing mix these days. So those were two ideas I had. You can have them for free. But do you have any other ideas about what the future for this space holds? Alessandro, you look like you're about to.
Yeah, no, you mentioned Padel cruises, trips with a big influencer are for sure some important option for the upcoming future. But I think what really can change the market is approaching the B2B world. Because I think in my mind, I think Padel has all the ingredients to become the new golf, okay? So just bring together different person profiles, and I think it has all the ingredients to convert itself in a big networking opportunity. It's very inclusive. That is a key aspect for corporate events where maybe people just bring the racket at that day as the first time. So I think that is a key aspect that can just change the market size of the padel travel sector. This is my point of view.
Anyone else? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Alessandro. Last year we did our first real season here, and we had 4 or even 5 business conferences the first year. They want to have an active conference, they wanted coaching and a facility for the conference, of course, but also for the events and influences, as you said as well. Very interesting. And also the other example, in Croatia, I don't know about Spain, but in Croatia, sailing is very popular. Many tourists go to Dalmatia for sailing. There are many cruising companies. And we were approached by someone in Italy. They wanted for a group to create 4 days of sailing in the Adriatic Sea and 3 days of paddle. And they said, we found out about this place. Can you do it? Yes, of course, we said. So we contacted one of them, and suddenly they had a new product to the market, sailing and paddle for a week to combine the two. It was amazing. So it's a lot of creativity. I think you can figure out a lot of different products, as you say, Fabio, find it, reshape it, reprice it. And yeah, it's interesting.
And by the way, Padel cruising is already there, so it's already happening. Not maybe with the paddle court in the cruises, but a different stop across the Mediterranean is already happening. And also with for example, we were already selling a week trip with some influencer in Italy, but also in UK and Spain and other market, because I want to travel with that influencer and in the meantime play padel together. So this is definitely something already happening. The corporate element is super important. I was mentioning before, unfortunately, there are not a lot of venues or destinations that are able to support this. You can mention Rafa Nadal Academy, Padel Resort, because there are club destinations that has also the accommodation included, that are able to host, for example, 100, 200 people, having meeting rooms, having conference room, and then play padel at the same time in the same weekend. Because as Alessandro was saying, it's super inclusive. So also if you have 30 people that never play padel, is just for the first time, they go on the court and they have fun. It's not happening with any other sport in the world. That's why, from my point of view, padel is not just a sport; it's also a social moment, a social event. So these are something that already started. On my side, what I feel, what I would like to happen is maybe also during the tournament event, having some leisure moment, like happening, for example, in tennis, when there is the Indian Wells for the pro tournament, there is also amateur tournament in the same week. So you can go there, spend the entire week in the Wells playing tennis, having a tournament, having lesson in the meantime, also looking at the tournament. So I feel and I hope this is going to happen for the paddle sport, because it's what people end of the day are asking. Golf is already in that angle, is already happening. Seeing similar. So again, From my point of view, this is what will be the game changer for the paddle industry in the future.
I think in the future we have to continue learning about golf because golf is not exactly the same because 4 or 5 days the people want to play in other golf courses, but now in paddle maybe at the same place 3 or 4 times. But I think that golf is a model that we have to think because the agencies to try to get the new groups, and for this reason, tour operation is a more similar model that I think it's similar at the future of the paddle. I think that we will learn much about golf and golf agencies. And now we are working with the golf agencies that beginning to work to paddle as another product. And then in this case, I think it's a future.
If I can add something, because I studied a little bit the best case about golf travel, and I think there is some aspect that we try to copy or get inspiration. That is, first of all, in comparison with paddle, you have a high spending customer or a higher spending customer. So this is a good point. Usually they do off-season travel, okay? So not just like in summertime, but there are a lot of golf travelers in fall and winter. They have clear packages. So usually what mentioned Fabio, transparency, trust, credibility is already there. And usually they have an average of longer stay in comparison with paddle travelers. So this is something that probably it helps to get more revenue. They have a lot of dedicated facilities. So there are a lot of golf resorts that also helps in case of B2B events. And of course, is probably the main reference about networking. So I think it's a very nice word where paddle can learn a lot.
That's a great summary to wrap up this episode. Again, please share and subscribe if the content was thought-provoking. Please comment on LinkedIn if you have any recommendations around our format, topics we should devote an episode to, questions we should ask, speakers we need to bring on. We want you all, those driving the next phase of this industry's future, to tell us what you want to hear about and who from. So a quick final thank you to Alessandro, Fabio, Guillermo and Tom for joining us today. And we will keep doing our best to cover all the angles of the business around paddle, episode after episode. Until the next one.